So chaos is continuing to erupt after ICE conducted large-scale immigration raids in New York City and LA. Now, the story here is the reaction from the LA mayor and the governor, Gavin Newsom, both claiming that ICE is creating fear and terror in the communities. I'm going to show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line. Let's start here.
In Los Angeles, protesters there are facing off against federal law enforcement officials in Paramount, California. That is about 20 miles south of the downtown Los Angeles area. Protesters were seen clashing with law enforcement during a chaotic scene near a Home Depot earlier today. Now, the agents that you can see there, among others, were wearing riot gear, reportedly broke up the protests using flashbang grenades. Today's clashes come after protesters broke out yesterday over the detention of more than 40 people in large-scale raids across the city. And it is worth noting the White House border czar, Tom Homan, is in Los Angeles right now.
Now, it's being reported that at least 44 people were arrested during the raids in Los Angeles. The FBI and DHS has cited that the violent mobs will be investigated. And if anybody is caught actually obstructing this operation from taking place, or they had assaulted any officers, they will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. LAPD, of course, stayed neutral. So did the sheriff department. I'm going to show you what they're saying as well. But the bottom line here up front, what you need to know is that ICE is executing these immigration raids in accordance with what the law is. They have the authority to do it. And the people on the ground, the people who live in these local areas, they don't like it. And they're so emotionally out of control that they're physically getting involved. Let me show you an example of what that looks like. Take a look.
There was earlier this morning, apparently a raid by ICE here at a business called Ambiance. Then a crowd started forming outside the perimeter. They started actually surrounding these buildings.
We have a piece of video. You can see that they've gotten the people and they put them in these vans. It was a very strange sight to see because they started to leave and there were people who were protesting trying to keep these vans from getting out. And the video seen here is deeply troubling because these officers, look, there's that person in front, and the officers did not stop, these agents or whatever federal authorities they were, and notice how this person continued to stay in front, and the officer did not slow. No officer came out and tried to get this out, and then watch as the person in front falls and hits his head on the ground, and that just seemed like it was an injury, but then these agents then moved aside and then immediately took off, and we watched these agents almost as if it was a chase. They got together in the caravan, and we watched as those agencies or those three vans went to the Roybal federal building where they took the people that they had detained. And that was the second caravan that had gone there.
Now, to give you a little bit more context about how serious this is, if you could recall what happened during the George Floyd riots, meaning the whole Black Lives Matter scam movement, that's exactly what this is cooking up to be, ladies and gentlemen. If ICE continues to operate and do these raids, especially in Los Angeles or in California, yeah, there will be riots. There will be people who will physically get involved. There will be people who will assault, I believe, ICE officials. They probably will damage buildings. In fact, they will go so far as to damage people who are reporting on the story. So here is a local Fox reporter showing you what happened to his vehicle and his personal items. Take a look.
So this is what's left of our work car. We had it parked near the scene. Obviously, we got here right at the beginning before we knew it was going to escalate to the situation that it got to. This is a brand new news truck that we just got. Looks like the tires were slashed. They busted into the windows. We'll see. Our personal bags were in the car. They stole all the stuff that was inside. There are some things here. Looks like they took cinder blocks through the window.
Now here's Secretary Newsom and her message to the LA rioters. You will not stop us or slow us down. ICE will continue to enforce the law. And if you lay a hand on law enforcement officers, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Now, it's obvious that everyone has a First Amendment right to peacefully protest. They do not have a right to put their hands on ICE officers. They do not have a right to stop ICE officers from executing their duties, which is what? Deporting undocumented or illegal aliens. I don't care what you call them. The bottom line is if they're executing a raid and they are detaining people, you should not be getting involved. Now, before we continue here, if you guys have been getting value from our channel, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop our merch store, buy us a cup of coffee, and don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Yeah, so it's interesting. You see how the left is clearly vandalizing everything that they come into contact with in an effort to protest what they don't like. Even people who are just reporting on the story. Now, there's much more clips to show you. I have to be careful here because we are on YouTube, by the way. But now I really want to get to the reactions because we know the mayor has a lot to say, right? Well, here's a clip of that. Take a listen.
Outrage that this has happened. Of course, what happened here, I think, was probably the worst. There were a number of locations where ICE raided today. And, you know, to me, when these things happen, it sows a sense of terror in the community. It's bad enough that it happened at this location, but the way this goes and spreads throughout the community, then people are not sure where they're safe.
And she also took to X to put this up, that we will not stand for this. Okay, she said that she is deeply angered by what has taken place. These tactics sow terror, as you heard her say in the video there, in our communities and disrupt basic principles of safety in our city. My office is in close coordination with immigration rights community organizations. We will not stand for this. You know, you'd think she'd say, my office is in close coordination with immigration rights community organizations and federal authorities like the FBI and ICE. No, she does not want to collaborate with them whatsoever to find the safest options. They would rather resist, which actually makes it unsafe. And of course, the FBI director fired back and he said, we will. And LAPD put up a post as well. It's very neutral. They do not actually condemn or warn people to stop obstructing ICE officials from executing their duties. They just kind of keep in the middle there and say they're all about keeping people safe. And the same thing for the sheriff as well. His message was a little bit more closer to the mayor. He's not showing any support for ICE. In fact, if you're thinking about the overall message on the ground from the Los Angeles mayor, the sheriff, the police department, and the governor, it's very simple. ICE is creating fear and terror in our communities. We will protect you, and we stand with all people regardless of their immigration status. Now, here's what the acting ICE director had to say in response to the LA mayor. Take a listen.
What's your reaction to the mayor who says she's not going to stand for this?
It's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe that an elected official would say that. She would block and stop lawful law enforcement officers from doing their job. And if she was on the ground yesterday, then she was there representing criminals. She was representing rapists, gang members, human traffickers. All they were arrested yesterday. 118 individuals were arrested. And then she called for the LA police not to assist us. So the worst thing in America is the fact that we had 40 ICE officers and Federal Protective Service officers inside a building trapped. So we're in a major U.S. city, and we have law enforcement officers trapped, surrounded by over 1,000 protesters, and the LAPD would not respond to help those officers in their time of need. Over 2 hours it took for them to come get there. And Mayor Bass blocked those law enforcement officers from coming and helping my officers and agents. It's absolutely disgusting and shouldn't happen in the United States.
Tax day may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just the beginning. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things worse. This is why I trust my friends at Tax Network USA to help people just like you. Whether you're self-employed or you're a business owner, even if your books are a mess, they got you covered. Tax Network USA specializes in cleaning up financial chaos and getting you back on track fast. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control. Your consultation, which is completely free, could help you stop the penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies before it escalates any further. So call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/divorce or hit the link in the description below.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate what Todd Lyons had to say about LAPD taking their sweet time in responding to that scene. And the reality is we're in a time where law enforcement has to be very careful with what they get involved with. Now, sooner or later, they're going to have to get involved, because if riots truly start to break out here, then they're going to come out and they're going to try to control the scene and obviously stop it, right? The fact of the matter is, law enforcement in today's society, they pick and choose because their life is on the line. Their families' lives are on the line. I mean, a lot of these officials could easily be doxxed, not just ICE officials. But think about in LA alone, if you start helping these ICE officials as LAPD or sheriff, yeah, you're going to get a lot of backlash from the local community. So politically, it's not good whatsoever. And that's the unfortunate truth here. Now, let's hear it from Tom Homan and what he had to say about all this. Take a listen.
Look, we're going to continue doing our job. And yesterday, we got 118 arrests. I was out here yesterday to kick off this operation. And what people aren't talking about is ICE served, several warrants yesterday. These were criminal warrants. This is a criminal investigation. And today, we're continuing operations. They're not going to shut us down. We're out there right now doing operations. We're going to keep doing operations. We brought in more resources to push back the protesters, but I'll say it again, a serious warning. You can protest all you want. You got your First Amendment rights. But if you cross that line of impediment, or you're putting hands on officers, or destroy property, you will be prosecuted. There's zero tolerance on crossing that lines, and that's what we're standing by. We're bringing more resources as we speak. We'll have more resources tonight. We're going to continue doing the job that American people voted Donald Trump in office to do, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
Let's apply a little logic here for everybody, all right? The left is clearly reacting emotionally. They're out of control, no question. They're too sensitive to this. Because I'm going to give you the example. Let's say 80% of the time, ICE officials are detaining and catching and deporting illegal aliens who actually committed heinous crimes against American citizens, children, wives, mothers, men, children, doesn't matter. I'm talking rape, battery, assault, human trafficking, drugs, all of it, okay? 80%, they're catching people who have committed those crimes and have convictions. Let's say 15%, they're catching people who may not have actually committed any crimes, but the only crime they did commit is they entered the country illegally. And let's say 5% of the time, they're catching people who are here legally. Now, logically speaking, that would make sense to me because we're not perfect. ICE is not perfect. They will make mistakes. But generally speaking, when you allow 13 million people to come into the country, I would think that would probably be the ratios right there. So by the left reacting emotionally out of control here, what they're doing is protesting on behalf of those criminals. And it's getting so bad that even Tom Homan just confirmed that the National Guard is going to be called out here. Take a listen.
They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday's about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people. This is about enforcing the law, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to force the law.
All right, so I'm going to show you another reaction from MSNBC. They're claiming that President Trump is not only doing this deliberately, but he's doing it because he wants to use military force to execute ICE operations. Where are they getting that from? I have no idea, but let's hear it. Take a listen.
I also wonder, is it too cynical of me to worry that they might be deliberately escalating these encounters with protesters so that they have a pretext to do something like what you just described?
Well, we know that the president frequently criticizes cities that are run by Democratic mayors, and he focuses on law and order. He thinks that those police officers in those cities aren't, you could say, enthusiastic or vigorous enough in their enforcement of law. So this may be an excuse for him. He can't take over local police departments. And importantly, even if he invokes the Insurrection Act, that doesn't give the military or the National Guard any new authority or power that local police don't have. But again, he would run, he would be in control of those troops in a way that he's not in control of local police officers.
So no doubt this is a dramatic situation, and it will continue to escalate as long as ICE is executing these operations in California. Understand the left's perspective here. They don't believe in the term illegal alien. They do not believe if somebody crossed the border illegally, they should be deported. In fact, they believe it doesn't matter what your legal status is, you should get full health care, full entitlement benefits, and you should be able to become an American citizen, full stop. And of course, from the right's perspective, that's ludicrous, because if you allow 13 million people to come into our country unvetted, how do we know who's really here to do right by our country and who isn't? That's why they're targeting people who have these criminal convictions, who have these ties to MS-13 gang and the like. And the bottom line is ICE has the authority to execute these things. So these people who are trying to obstruct federal authorities from doing their job, that is a losing battle, folks. And the bottom line is this: expect George Floyd type riots in Los Angeles, because those people out there are emotionally unhinged. Okay, now let's hear from you guys in the comment section below to this story. We know it's going to continue to escalate, but I want to know where you're at on all this. Do you believe what the Trump administration is doing, particularly these ICE officials executing large-scale raid operations? Do you believe that is the right approach? And what is your message to people on the ground who think it's a great idea to interfere with that? Let me know your thoughts and all of that in the comment section below. Now, what's interesting is California is also in the news, but not just for these ICE raids. They're in the news because President Trump has threatened to cut all federal funding to the state of California, prompting Gavin Newsom to start panicking and issue this ridiculous response. So if you missed out on that story and more, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.